the 2024 season, it can't be ignored that McLaren looked like the best team and the best set team to actually challenge Red Bull. But with a couple of people coming in and a real game changer for them, it will make for a very interesting season. Can McLaren do it? Will this car be up to par with Red Bull, or will they fail yet again? Before getting into the video, I wanted to thank you guys for the support on the channel. I mean, I can't say enough. You guys are the best, and you guys really support this channel to such a good degree. If you haven't subscribed, please do. It means a lot for me. And like the video, just go ahead. It means a lot. Let's start the McLaren 2024 video. So talking about McLaren is iffy situation because they're one of those teams that tends to be super good towards the end of the season, but then the beginning of the season, they always start off pretty rough. They kind of shock us in the way that they start. It's been an ongoing trend since like practically 2020. That's kind of how they've been. Now in 2020, they over-delivered with the car. Definitely, they were competing with the Racing Point, ended up getting P3 there. 2021, we expected them to be contenders. They were not. They were still pretty far behind on Red Bull and Mercedes. 2022, in preseason testing, these guys looked like they were going to be top dogs. Far from that, and 2023 started the season horribly, if not the 10th car on the grid, and then ended up making a big step up. Now, the history in McLaren is obviously huge. I love this team. I always wish that McLaren would be a top contending team because it's sad to see a team with such heritage be towards the bottom. But they have brought in a couple of things that I think will be changing the game for them, especially going into this 2024 season. Now, they lost their technical director, which was James Key, and I thought this was a guy that needed to leave from a long time ago. I thought the philosophy he was taking in 2022 wasn't correct to the other teams, and the upgrades that were coming to the car did not seem to be making significant pace upgrades. They even talk about it that in 2022 in France, an upgrade that they brought over there, they were like, okay, since that upgrade, the team was just going south, and they practically threw everything from that season. They're like, okay, 2023, we're going to dedicate practically a whole entire year because that upgrade package that came in Austria almost took a year for them to develop and really get right. That's why we saw such a huge, significant gain. And I talked about it in my Ferrari video, but minor upgrades get you about 0.2. Now, a major upgrade can get you somewhere around 0.5 to a second, or even more depending on how much of the car you are changing. Well, they pretty much change everything from the floor philosophy to the side pod design to it being a more downwash concept with the slide pods. They changed everything to get this car in the right window, and they succeeded. They probably changed the whole entire base of the car and got it sitting at a lower ride height. Now, this car already had pretty good pace and high speed, but they lacked a lot in medium and slow speed especially. I mean, funny enough, actually, Monaco was a pretty good car, but in Monaco, it's hard to judge a car off of slow speed because that car is just fully downforce. It's more driver dependent than it is car dependent. But on tracks like Singapore, where it is driver dependent, but also car dependent, that's kind of where you saw the progress. We saw them P2 finishing for Lando Norris. Now, with the help of Carlos Sainz, obviously, that car wasn't Ferrari level, but it was far from a bad car. It was a very good car. And in comparison to the beginning of the year, it was a very successful car that at it. So that design that they picked up in Austria really helped. A couple of upgrades from Singapore, and from then on, they didn't really upgrade the car in Brazil, Mexico, Coda, or for Abu Dhabi, but the car gained a lot of pace everywhere. It was a successful car that McLaren can actually be very happy with. And for that, I'm happy for them. But can they ride this momentum going into 2024? Well, with Rob Marshall coming, he's a big contributor to Red Bull's RB19, and over the years helped with Sebastian Vettel winning his 4 titles, Max winning his 3 titles. This guy is a significant player here for the McLaren squad. Bringing him in, and David Sanchez, who I think is still an incredible technical director, but Rob Marshall is, I think, the big guy now. He's got the experience. He knows exactly what's in that RB19 car, which will help them significantly upgrading the car, the direction to go into. He knows the airflows, everything. This is all data in his mind being transferred over now to McLaren, especially right after the season that Red Bull just had. For McLaren to have such a player in the game, it's a big factor. And this is where I think McLaren has that best chance to really step it up into 2024, because this guy will make a significant difference for the team. They've always been lacking on that development. Throughout the whole entire season, they've never been one of the best developers. And Fernando Alonso talked about it with Aston Martin. To be a top 3 team, you need to develop consistently throughout the season. It's actually a common Ferrari problem where They start the season amazingly, end it badly. It's better to end amazingly than start badly, but both are bad. You want to start good and end amazingly. So for McLaren, it's going to be a real step up to actually keep it throughout the whole entire season with a guy like Rob Marshall, David Sanchez, a good development plan with this car, with it already being set up in the Red Bull window. I did see somebody question this, and I do wonder if this will be true. Now, it was one of the things that I saw being talked about for McLaren. They took the Red Bull path. This car is very similar to the Red Bull. While it might have like a couple of changes in its side pods and a couple of other things, this car is pretty much identical from the suspension and the way that the airflow kind of works on this car. It's a high-speed monster. Same thing with Red Bull. It performed on the exact same tracks that Red Bull did. So the philosophy of the car is there. Now, looking at the floor, there isn't too much you can tell with the McLaren because there aren't significant pictures showing you the McLaren floor. But the ones that were shown kind of gives you an idea of where they're going to. And it's definitely more in that Red Bull direction. But now with Rob Marshall, can they pick up that development path faster? Because a lot of people are saying, and it has crossed my mind before too, with them picking up the Red Bull development, will they be able to pass Red Bull with this concept? Because it's hard to catch up to a team that's so well understood on the concept. They're already working on this pretty much revolution of a floor that they're talking about. That's kind of the rumors. And with them upgrading to the RB20, will the MCL, whatever we're going to call it, it was MCL60 before, but let's call it the MCL24. Will this have enough pace to catch the car? Now, we do know from their development targets that they are pretty high up there and they want to be fighting with Red Bull. They think they can take some wins. But I have yet to hear Zak Brown talking about a championship, which kind of concerns me. And if anything, in the news, the McLaren boss over there, Zak Brown, was talking about Mercedes being the top contenders for Red Bull and Lewis could possibly get his 8th. I don't like this kind of unconfidence from the team because Zak Brown's usually a guy that I take as a pretty confident person. He likes to boast up his team. They were very negative going into 2023 from 2022. They knew that car wasn't up to standards. But this year, they are a little bit more positive, but it doesn't seem like it's the championship winning mindset, which I feel like McLaren, Aston Martin, all those midfield teams kind of struggle in that. You look at Mercedes, even if the car won't be up to par, Toto Wolff talks about this thing like it's going to fly off to the moon, literally, because that is kind of the confidence they have going into next season. Oh, we're confident with the car. We're confident with the direction. We're going to take it there. Now, Zak Brown is putting down standards. Now, you can take it however you'd like. Maybe they're just putting it down to have a still good season and other people look at it in a different way. But to me, it's a sign of not being as confident as your competitors. Red Bull goes into every single season like they're going to be the top. That is the biggest difference between every single team, in my opinion, and why Red Bull is who they are. Red Bull is Red Bull. They're the best team in almost every single category, from pit stops to strategy to upgrading the car to just significant even innovations in the car from Adrian Newey. You got to have that mindset going into 2024. They do have this kind of technical director role that's revolving around 3 people, which could be difficult for the team if they can't handle it correctly, especially because in the past they did this, it didn't work out, and that's why Adrian Newey left. So doing this type of plan again could cause for some controversy, but I have a high hope that McLaren could step it up in 2024 with a car that should be an evolution to its last car because it was so strong. Can they catch Red Bull? I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments down below. You guys know I reply to pretty much every single comment and love talking to you guys in general. Also wanted to know if you stay to the end of the video, I am thinking about, for when these live news things happen, like Gunther Steiner live streaming an event like that and kind of talking about it rather than making a video about it, because I think more in the moment would be better than kind of after the fact. But you guys let me know if you'd love to see that. If not, also let me know. I'd love to hear it. I love hearing your input. So please leave a like, subscribe. It would mean the world, and peace.